Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to our monthly Q&A session. Very excited to see you all here. And I do want to just apologize for anyone who is here watching live. We had a bit of an issue with our email system, and for some reason it decided to send out all of these emails that were meant for next week to send them out this week. We don't know why. We're trying to figure that out now. So this is our Q&A, not our hot seat. Our hot seat is next Wednesday, same time. Same place, but but not this week. So this week we're going to do our Q&A. And I do just want to mention a couple of changes because I know there's been a little bit of confusion. Excuse me. So the first big change, we posted about this in the group and on the membership site, but it's very possible that y'all didn't necessarily see it. The first big change is that we are now, instead of going live on Zoom every time we have a meetup, we are doing it here on Facebook, within the Facebook group, and also on YouTube. The YouTube channel is a private channel, so please do not share the link. It is a private channel just for members. But if you want to watch it live, you can watch it here on Facebook, or I know not everybody loves to be in Facebook, you can watch it on YouTube. And then of course, the video will still get put into the membership portal. So if you're not watching it live, if you're watching the replay, you can go to the membership portal, do what you've always done. So that's how that one works. That's the first big change. The second big change is a date-specific change, which is for October and November. We changed up the weeks and the dates of when we were doing everything for a couple of reasons. In October, we made a change because we ended up redoing our September workshop at the end of September. Hold on, I gotta pull myself in here. And so we didn't want to do a workshop at the end of September and then one right away the next week in October. So we basically pushed everything in October 1 week back. So we had our workshop last week, which was the second week of October. We're doing our Q&A this week. And next week, we're doing our hot seat in the last week of October, okay? Now, November, we're making a change because of Thanksgiving. So November is going to start the same way as our normal schedule. So the first week, we'll do our workshop. The second week, we'll do our Q&A, but I'm sorry, actually, and also the election. I'm wrong. So ignore what I just said. November has the election and Thanksgiving. So actually, sorry, my bad. The first week, we are not doing anything in November. It's election week. I want to make sure everybody can go vote. I myself am running for an office, so I will be taking the Wednesday off. So we will not have anything in the membership the first week of November. It's a great time to use for implementation, or just to kind of take a break and get ready for what's coming in November. The second week of November, we will have our workshop. The third week of November, we are going to do a joint Q&A/hot seat because the fourth week of November is Thanksgiving. And I'm guessing most people probably don't want to meet the day before Thanksgiving. So we're going to do that joint Q&A in November. In the third week. Oh, can you all see my dog? My dog just decided to pop in and say hello. We're going to do that joint Q&A. I know, buddy. I know. This is not the right time. He wants me to take him for a walk. Definitely not the right time. So all of those schedule changes are posted in the Facebook group. They're also posted in the membership group as well. We are going to do an email to everybody probably this afternoon, I believe. Just kind of, buddy, you gotta go lay down. Gotta go lay down. He waits for me to go live before he does this. So we'll be doing an email to everybody. So if you want that all in writing, it's going to be coming to you in writing. So I apologize for all the confusion. We're kind of figuring some things out. You know, membership is still new. We're still switching stuff around. So I really appreciate your patience with all of that. But today we are going to do our Q&A. Hey, bud. Okay, he's going to stay here. I'm going to pet him the whole time so that he chills so that we can do this. So we've got two great questions for our Q&A today. And if you are watching live, by all means, please drop your questions in the comments. I'm always happy to answer them. Before I do that, I do want to remind folks, if you want to sign up for a hot seat, please do that in advance if you can. And so you can go to megkwheeler.com/BAT-hot seat. I got to go let him out, y'all. He is going to drive us nuts the whole time. So I will be right back. I'm going to go open the door, let him out. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I swear, he knows the worst possible time. So anyway, if you want to sign up for Hot Seat, the link is below, megkwheeler.com/BAT-hot seat. Signing up in advance just enables us to send you the link to join us because we're not on Zoom anymore. You can't just show up and get a hot seat. We got to send you a link. So just sign up there so that we've got it, or feel free to email us support@megkwheeler.com if you have any issues with that at all. Cool. Okay, let's dive into the questions. So our first question, I've never done a budget before, business budget before. This will be my first full year of business. How do I figure out what to put for revenues? Yeah, great question. And so this is, let's just take a step back. The business budget, hold on, I gotta fix the camera. Take a step back, because I'm gonna sit back so I get comfy. The business budget is a really important tool, especially as we're going into 2021, or going into a new year, I should say, to make sure you've got one in place so that you can really ensure that you're hitting your financial goals. So I love to think about a business budget as essentially a roadmap, to achieve those goals. So that's why the budget really matters. So when you've never done one before, and you're newer in business, so you don't know exactly what your revenues are going to look like, it can be kind of hard to put one together because a lot of it is guessing. So what I like to recommend for someone who is kind of brand new, doesn't have a clue, is actually work backwards. And in the business budget, and actually I don't have this open. I wasn't going to do a screen share, but maybe we will today. So let me pull this up real fast. In our business budget template, which I can't say 3 times fast, I'm going to show y'all what I would recommend you do. Now, I do want to point out, bear with me one second. So we have actually, my team has been really hard at work. It's not that one. Hold on. My team's been really hard at work creating or updating all of our financial tools, our business budget tracker, our cash flow tracker, our profit calculator, and our quarterly tax workbook. They've all been updated. They all look really good. We are going to get those uploaded into the membership by next week. I apologize, they're not there yet. I wanted to do one final review, make sure they look good. And so they will be in there by next week. Now, for the life of me, why can't I find the business budget calculator? Hold on. So the business budget calculator, or tracker, excuse me, is will be in there. And so so we've updated this quite a bit. Yes, this is it. Perfect. I'm going to pull it over here. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's a little fancier. I don't want everyone to get totally overwhelmed by this because it definitely has more to it. And today I'm not going to go through all of the specifics and how to do it. There will be a video when we upload the new tracker. There will be a video added with it so that you can, it's not a very long video, it's about 20 minutes, but so that you can walk through, or I can walk you through the tracker in that video. So I'm not going to go over all the specifics today, but I do want to show you how I would approach this. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me. And again, this will be up there. Why is it not finding me? There we go. This will be up there let me pull this off so y'all can see, by next week. So let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so this is, and it looks very similar to the old budget tracker, so it's not that different. What's changed is the tax rate section is now on its own. The savings section is now on its own. And these sections have some more rows to them. There's a bit more calculating going on. But here's what I would do. And I've got some numbers in here. So let me actually pull out these numbers just so we can start from scratch. We can leave that number in there. That's fine. Okay, here's what I would do is I would actually, so if you're brand new, you don't know what your revenues are going to be, I would start at the very bottom in this owner draw section. Owner draw is what you're going to pay yourself as the owner. And I would say, okay, what do I want to take home? Now, this is going to be, in this particular instance, this is going to be post-tax because we've already got our funky tax calculation up here, okay? So this is literally the amount of cash you want to put into your bank account to pay your bills, to pay yourself, whatever it may be. Now, I'm not going to go into whole like how much you should pay yourself explanation today. When you're just starting out, this is usually going to be the number that you need to pay your bills, that you need so that you can live on, right? We talk in other workshops and other videos in the membership about, how to make sure you're really paying yourself, what you deserve and what you should be paying yourself. We're not going to deal with any of that today. Today, I'm guessing that if you're earlier on in your business, you're just worried about bringing in enough cash so that you can pay your bills, okay? So we're going to put a number in here. So let's just say that number is $4,000. This is a monthly number, okay? So that's what you need is $4,000. Now notice it's saying cash remaining. Hopefully, I'll make it even bigger. So y'all can like definitely see. It's saying cash remaining negative $4,000. We haven't put any revenues in yet, right? So, but that's what you need to hit. So the goal here is to get your cash remaining to 0 or to a positive number, meaning you've cash left over. Ideally positive, you want a bit of a buffer. So, so $4,000 is what we need to get to so that we can pay you your $4,000 draw, and then maybe have a little bit of cash left over. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come up here. Once we've put the owner's draw in, we're going to come up here to this expense section. And I was playing around with this, which is why I've got some labels here. But in your tracker, it'll just say expense 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can enter your own. So now I want to come up here and I want to say, okay, what are my basic expenses? What are the things I know I have to pay for no matter what? So, you know, maybe you don't have a virtual assistant yet. Maybe you've got a website, maybe that's $30 a month. Maybe you've got some like tech stuff, like your email service provider, whatever. So maybe that's, I don't know, $75 a month. I'm making up numbers here. Maybe you've got, you know, insurance. I mean, again, I'm just making up stuff. You know, $50 a month, and maybe you've got a virtual assistant for $125 a month, okay? So your operating expenses are $280 in this scenario. So now if we come back down to our cash remaining, we can see that we actually need $4,280 to be able to pay ourselves that $4,000, and that would give us nothing left over. Ideally, we want to have a little bit more. Again, we don't want our cash to be at 0. So that tells me, okay, I probably need to bring in, I don't know, maybe $4,500 in revenues, but don't forget about taxes, right? So so now we're going to go back to the revenue section, and let's just say that all of your revenues come from coaching. So let's say we pop in $4,500 here. This is an estimate. Again, you're newer in business. You don't know if this is realistic or whatnot. We're not there yet. But when I pop in that $4,500 and I swing back down, notice how I'm still at a negative number. I'm at a negative number because of taxes and savings in this case. So I'm going to come up here to my tax section. I'm going to make sure my tax rate is correct. To be honest, if I'm pulling in about $4,500 in revenues every month, and I don't have any other income or spouse with other income, 25% might be a little high. I'm just guessing, depends on your state, but maybe my tax rate's more like 20%. So I'm going to adjust that. And maybe I say, you know what, at this point in my business, I don't really want to put any money in savings yet. I'm not totally sure that I'm going to be able to hit that or whatever. Not necessarily advising that, but maybe you say, okay, I'm actually going to put that at 2%. That feels a little bit more doable than 5%. Okay. When you get this workbook, it won't have numbers in the tax or savings. It'll be blank, so you can enter whatever number you want. But now when we put those in, so what it's basically telling me is if we bring in $4,500 from coaching, we've got about $280 in expenses. We're going to set aside about $840 for taxes. We're going to set aside about $68 for our savings account, and we're going to pay ourselves $4,000. Well, we still have a deficit of about $691.52, right? So that tells me we got to make more. We got to bring more in for our revenues if we want to be able to pay ourselves that $4,000. And before I start playing around with the numbers, I just want to mention the reason why I started with that owner's draw is because at the end of the day, if you can't afford to pay yourself, then you're going to have a really hard time staying in business. So it's really important, in my opinion, especially when you're starting out, that you build in what you pay, what you owe yourself as a critical, required, necessary expense before you start tacking on other stuff like trainings and fancy tools and all of that. I want that to be the first thing that's in there so that it gets respected and you actually pay yourself that, okay? But now we got to go back to the top. We got to say, well, we got to increase it a bit. So maybe let's put it to 5,500 and see where that puts us. And yes, this is really just a lot of guess and check. It's a lot of going back and forth and seeing how the numbers work out. So when I do that, that leaves me with just a little bit of cash remaining. Now, maybe I'm sitting here saying, great, that's a win. Okay, now I know I got to bring in 5,500 in revenues. Maybe I'm sitting here going, I want a little more cash than that. So maybe I'm going to put it at 6,000 in revenues. And that gives me a nice buffer of about $500 in cash remaining. Plus, I've put some money in the savings too. I've actually put $92 because we're doing 2% of our profits. So I've got $100 in savings. I've got $480 in my bank account. I'm feeling pretty good. So that tells me then that I need to bring in, assuming all my other expenses are correct, I need to bring in about $6,000 to hit those numbers. So when you're first setting your budget, that's what I want you to do. Now, you might be sitting there saying, I have no clue how I'm going to bring in $6,000 in my first month of business. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You might not bring in $6,000 in your first month of business, but having it in your budget makes it more likely you're going to do it. And here is why. Because when you understand what you need to hit, it becomes a lot easier to actually get there. When you say, okay, I need to bring in $6,000. I don't know, what your packages are maybe, but let's just say that you charge $1,500 a month for a coaching package. That tells me I need to bring in 4 clients at $1,500 a month. Okay, great. So that's 4 clients. Now let's just say that let's say you use sales calls to get your clients. So, and let's say you have a 50% success rate. So if I need to bring in 4 clients, that means I need to have 8 calls. Maybe you have a 25% success rate. So I need to have 16 calls, whatever it may be. But once you know, okay, I need to have 16 calls, now you can sit there and say, okay, I'm going to block off this time in my calendar so that I make sure I have time for those 16 calls. And maybe in order to get 16 calls, maybe you, what you want to do is actually map out your strategy to get them. So maybe you're going to go live once a week. Maybe you're going to post every day on social media. Maybe you're going to email, if you've got a list, maybe you're going to email your list once a week, whatever it may be. So now you can kind of work backwards and build out what you need to do to hit that 16 calls, to hit that 4 clients, to hit that $6,000 a month. So that's how you really decide. Let's pop the question back up here for anyone who might be joining in a little bit late with us. That's really how you answer the question, how do I figure out what to put for revenues when I'm doing a budget for the first time ever and you are newer in business, so you're still figuring stuff out. That's really how you do it, is you work your way backwards. And I always want you to start with what you want to pay yourself. Now, again, I said kind of in the middle of this that we weren't going to talk about making sure you're paying yourself well or any of that, and we're not. But I do just want to say one last thing, because I know that a lot of people in my community struggle with money mindset. And I know that one of the biggest challenges that people in my community have when they get close to, usually it happens when you get close to 6 figures, but it could be another number, is you start to go, okay, I've hit my budget, or I've hit that point that I set for myself, that goal. So I'm not going to do any more. And there's again, I'm not going to get into all the specifics of why that's the case, but there's a lot of money mindset baggage there. So that's why I want to say, as I am explaining this exercise, I am talking to the folks who don't have a lot of months of revenue, who are newer in business, who don't have any clue how to choose this number. I'm not talking right now to the folks who have been in business for 3 years and know that you can hit a certain number every single month. And I am not telling y'all to start with what you want to pay yourself and just bring in enough revenues to cover that. For those of you who actually have that activity coming in, you can hit $6,000, $10,000, whatever it is every single month. I do not want your revenue goal to just be enough to pay yourself and cover your expenses. For you, we want to have bigger revenue goals than that. So this is just for my newbies here that I'm talking about. Okay. So hopefully that helped kind of explain how to get started, but that is where I would start. I would work my way backwards. And then as you actually get your numbers in over time and you really track your budget to actual, then you can make adjustments as you need to. All right, cool. Great question there. One more question for today. So I'm a little confused and I apologize, I forgot to write down who's asking these. So I apologize, I don't remember who asked this question. I'm a little bit confused by the 1099s. Okay, so this is in reference to our workshop that we did last week, which was all about Q4 tax, Q4 financial to-dos. One of the items was tax. So 1099s, I only paid one person this year, a VA, to do my social media, and I paid her through PayPal. Do I need to issue her a 1099? Okay, great question. Let's take a step back, and actually, I'm going to pull up, and I apologize, I should have had this ready. I always think that I'm not going to need resources when I do these, and I'm always like, oh, I want to actually show you my resources. Now, this is in the workshop, again, like I said, from last week, your Q4 financial to-dos. So if you want a fuller explanation, by all means, please go back and look at that. But I do want to answer this question because I know that this can often get kind of confusing. And so I do just want to pull up this slide from last week because I personally am a visual person, and so I often find, so if any of you are visual people, it may be the case that seeing this, where is it? Hold on. Oh, here we go. Also, I think there's like popcorn. Ugh, I hate that. When you have, I had popcorn for lunch, or as one of my items, and now there's like, bleh. Okay, so let me pull up the slide for, I'm going right by it. Okay, so 1099. So let me pull this up because again, I know my visual folks, it's easier to have this. Hold on, let me present. Put it in the present screen. Okay, cool. And let me go ahead and get rid of this question real fast, just so y'all can see. So let's talk about what 1099s are. So 1099s are a tax form that need to be issued to every single person to whom you pay at least $600 in one of the following: rents, services, prizes and awards, or other income payments. So essentially, anyone you pay for providing something in your business, you need to issue them a 1099. Now, this is just for business, not for personal purposes. So essentially, you're only issuing these for money that you paid in the course of doing business. So if you decide to have a girls' night and you decide to have a wine as a prize, you don't need to issue. I mean, I guess it'd have to be over $600, but you don't need to issue a 1099 for that. This would be, for people that you're hiring, like our question, questioner asked about, if you're hiring a VA, if you've got someone who does your social media, someone who's doing your website. And I do want to point out that this doesn't have to be somebody who you pay on an ongoing basis. So it can be somebody that you just hire for a one-time project. As long as you've paid them at least $600 in the year, then you need to issue them a 1099 with a couple of exceptions. Now, it's the first exception here, and I'm going deeper than the question, but I do just want to cover this. The first exception here is that you only need to pay 1099s to people who are individuals, partnerships, LLCs, LPs, or estates. So not if they're a C corporation, okay? And then the other, let me go to the next slide here. The other exception, here we go. So exceptions to corporations. So the first one, payments made to corporations, you do not have to issue 1099. So that's what I just said. Most of the people that we're going to pay are going to be individuals or LLCs. So typically this is not going to apply for most of us, but just FYI. The second, this is not as relevant probably for most of us, but essentially if you're paying money to a seller of merchandise, to someone who is providing freight services or storage, you don't need to issue a 1099. So if you are a physical products-based business and you ship your product and you use a shipping service, and you spend more than $600, you pay more than $600 to them in the year, you don't need to issue them a 1099. And then that last one, this gets to the heart of the question. That last one is payments made through third-party processors like credit cards, PayPal, etc. So I want to pull the question back up here, which was basically, do I need to issue my VA who does my social media a 1099? So the first question is, I'm assuming you've paid her more than $600. If that's the case, move to the next step. We gotta think about this. But you paid her through PayPal. As long as you paid her through business PayPal, meaning you didn't do the friends and family option, you did the business PayPal. As long as you paid her through the business PayPal, then you do not need to issue this person a 1099, because there's this funky little rule, and a lot of people, even accountants, don't understand this rule. But there's this funky little rule that basically says that if you make those payments that would otherwise require you to issue a 1099, if you make them through a third-party payment processor like Stripe, like a credit card, like PayPal, then you actually do not need to issue a 1099. What's going to happen is that third-party payment processor is now responsible for issuing a 1099. But I do want to make a couple of points. Number one, the threshold for the third-party payment processor to issue the 1099 is higher than it is for you. So for them, it's not as long as you paid $600. For them, and I forget the exact number, but I think it's at least 200 transactions, and I'm forgetting the dollar amount, but it's a lot more than $600. And so you've got to hit those, they have to hit those points in order for them to be required to issue 1099. So what may happen is you may get your VA saying, hey, I never got a 1099, and you may say, well, I don't have to issue you one. Excuse me, and your VA saying, well, great, but I didn't get one from PayPal either. And that may be why, because PayPal has higher standards or higher conditions they have to meet before they're required to issue a 1099. Now, here's the thing. So you're not technically required. I go ahead and I issue them anyway. And this is one of the only instances in business and tax that I can think of where even though I am 100% confident I don't have to do it, I do it anyway. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, even though the law is pretty clear on this, the work to issue the 1099 is so minimal that I would rather do that work than risk ever getting a notice or any other kind of issue from the IRS that says I did something wrong. Even if I know that ultimately I can prove I didn't, that is going to take so much more time and effort than just issuing the damn 1099 now. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is for the reason I just mentioned, which is a lot of times people I work for will, if I don't issue it, they'll come back and say, in fact, I did this 2 years ago, and a couple of people came back and they're like, so I didn't get a 1099. And I explained it, and and they were like, oh, okay. But what I realized was people rely on getting these. Now, they shouldn't. You should be tracking your own income, so you should not rely on getting a 1099 to know what your income is. But they do rely on them. And I didn't want to end up having all my different vendors coming to me and saying, where is this? And having to deal with that administrative burden. So for me, because I only pay I only pay about 3 or 4 people over $600 every year, I would rather just issue the 1099s and be done with it than taking advantage of the exception, which is legitimate, but taking advantage of it and then possibly having to deal with the headaches down the road. So it's totally up to you. It's a business judgment decision. But from everything you've told me, it does not sound like you need to issue a 1099 for this person, but you may still want to do that. And I do recommend, I think I've got this link somewhere on here, so let me find this, because someone actually had asked this in the free group. Yeah, here we go. I do recommend tax1099.com. Now, to be clear, I don't get anything for recommending them to you. There are plenty of other services out there that are exactly like Tax 1099 and cost the same amount of money. So I'm not recommending them, because they're the best. I'm recommending them because they're good. They get the job done. There are other options out there as well. So don't feel like you have to use Tax 1099. But tax1099.com is a great option. They actually just changed their pricing. So I used to tell people that it was $15 for every 1099 you issued. I believe they've changed their pricing, and it actually seems like it's gotten significantly better if you're doing a smaller number of 1099s, which I was kind of surprised by. But bear with me 1 second, and I will actually tell y'all. Hold on, 1099. Why am I? Tiered pricing. Okay, IRS e-file for 1099. Yeah, so according to this, the first 10 forms is $2.90 a form. Now, like I said, this is brand new pricing, so I haven't even used this. So it is possible that there may be, in fact be like a base price that they're going to charge you before it's $2.90 a form. And I'm not seeing that immediately here, but again, I haven't done these yet for myself this year, so I do just want to point that out. But it does seem like their pricing has gotten a little bit better. Okay, cool. So anyway, so that is my answer to that. So the bottom line is you don't have to, but you probably want to. Cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Those were the questions we had for today. Again, we are doing a hot seat next week. I'm going to pop that link up if you want to join us for the hot seat, megkwheeler.com/BAT-hot seat. We will send you a link prior to the hot seat because you will need to click on that link to join us. But if you are just watching the hot seat, you can watch it live on Facebook or on YouTube. But if you're going to join us for the hot seat, we need you to check for the special link that we're going to send you. So, all right, everyone, I hope you are having an awesome day. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you all next week. Bye.